Before we get stuck into the painting, I wanted to let you know about my online course. With a growing collection of weekly videos, there's always something new to look forward to. Click the button in the top right to sign up today. Now, over to the easel. Okay, I do love a complex scene, one with lots of detail, for quite a few different reasons. One, it's a great challenge, and I know that if I'm able to see where I need to go to simplify the big shapes, a lot of times that's in shadows, it will give me a good painting, interesting painting, but also it'll be a subject that if I ever wish to do a big version of something, it'll be one that will lend itself to that. I remember a great bit of advice that I got from a wonderful artist, Harold Lane. He said, when you go bigger, you need to add more, put more in, bring more to the overall scene compared to a small painting. He said that's normally the one main difference between a small painting and a big painting. And I have found that definitely the more detailed certainly does help, because it's a matter of getting information into areas to make it as interesting as possible. And if it's just a big valley, sweeping sort of valley with not much going on, just a couple of rolling hills, that can be hard to really make it interesting. So just putting in these big shapes, getting in those backgrounds, and I'm also trying to soften off the background. And that's actually a great trick. It's quite a temptation to make the distance detailed as well as the main object, but that's where we can fall into a bit of a trap. That's why by reducing the amount of information, it can actually make the foreground appear more detailed and more interesting. It took a little bit for me to learn that and get my head around that concept, but I think this is quite a classic example where I'm really sort of simplifying the foliage, the background hill, because I think there was a tiny little bit of snow here and there in the hills, not so much in this scene, but it's funny how you can bring your lived experience to a particular painting. But this one doesn't need it, of course, because I'll be more looking at bringing in the steam coming out of the engine. And this does follow on from a lifetime of fascination with trains, or probably sort of automotive engineered things. I've always loved things that have been designed when you think this was state of the art when it was built. We always look at it now as, oh, that's an old relic from the past, but there was a moment where it was state of the art. And you'll notice that I'm sticking to those big areas still. Now I can start to finesse some of the more intricate shapes, and that is always tricky, those bands around. And I'm guessing it's the furnace or the boiler in that big cylindrical area, because I want to indicate that it is cylindrical but not overstate it. So it's that classic indicate, don't state. So, and the other great way to really sort of spice up this sort of scene is look at some of the edges. You may have just noticed those edges on the front left hand. If I get enough of them sharp edged, that will start to build up interest. It'll start to build up impact, detail. It'll really start to drive the narrative. And I think that's actually something that goes a little unspoken of is the storytelling aspect, where this one, it's kind of refueling with water, so it thankfully almost speaks for itself. So I'm leaving this main big shadow area to last, knowing that one, if I get this area to work, the painting will really fall into place after that. But if I overdo it or do it clumsy, the painting's actually going to fall apart, I believe. That's why the shadow areas are just just as important as the sun, well, nearly as important, I probably should state more correctly. So just bringing in some small brushes there, just to make sure that I'm getting accuracy, but also keeping that fluency as well. And these brushes are all a similar type. They're not the exact, the bigger ones are an Eclipse. This small one is the smallest one is a size 3 Master's Choice, but they give me a similar brush mark, which is perfect. I can see one or two little compositional concerns creeping in, the placement of the big water tank, but that'll be something that I'll probably revisit later, just to either make it wider, maybe a good solution. You can see how that left-hand side is just lining up with that big brass domed area. So I think I might bring it out to the left a little more, because I didn't actually want to make it any smaller, because it reads really well without any steam. But as soon as I put the steam in, it's going to change the complexion, the visual aspect of that shape. And it's so easy to not bring enough steam or enough visual interference, or too much. But I think that the main thing is where it's starting and finishing. It's all in that straight line. Pretty happy with every other compositional element. And I think that's my number one thing, is that I'm always looking compositionally, what is happening, where is the eye moving to, making sure I keep the eye and that red area on the front. In a car we would probably call it a bull bar, but I'm not sure, because it has that little scooper as well on the front. I'm not sure what that's called either, but they're nice sort of rectangular shapes, diagonal shapes. We've got the cylindrical shape, so it's a circle with the cylinder shape. So that's the best way to break it down. Get those big shapes in place first. And normally I do find once I've positioned those shapes, it's then just a matter of bringing enough visual information. I don't really like to use the word detail, because I see different things. And I think the word detail does put a few people off as well. I did actually use a little bit of Procreate on this. There was a trailer to the left of the front, so I've actually edited that out. You may just see a little glimpse in the reference photo, but other than that, it's pretty well painted as I saw it, as I wanted it to be.